Hi, family, friends, buyers, sellers, future and current real estate investors, and welcome to the first episode of Real Talk About Real Estate with me, your host, Sarah Martin Obad, your local licensed North Carolina realtor. Since it is my first episode of this on this channel, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you never miss an episode of Real Talk About Real Estate. Today, as you can see from the title of this video, we are going to talk about the common misconceptions about today's real estate market. Now, we just got out of an anomaly years of 2020 through 2022, so I just wanted to emphasize that we are talking about today's. Since interest rates are rising, many people are thinking that they are going to go back down, especially if they were introduced into the market and got familiar with the market as a younger or first-time home buyer, either coming out of college or just buying their first homes if they've been renting their entire life. So for the first commonplace misconception, it is, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot, I'll just wait until interest rates go back down. Well, as I said before, 2020 and 2022 were anomaly years. Historically, and I will insert the graph up here, as we can see, the interest rates we're at the all-time low in 2021. According to Time magazine, they were at 2.65% on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which was likely due to the effects of COVID. However, as you see with the interest rates rising, ever since the Federal Reserve embarked on its mission to curb inflation in March 2022, mortgage rates have soared at a record high pace. According to Freddie Mac, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage initiated the previous year was at a modest 3.22% in January, only to skyrocket to a staggering 7.08% by October. Now, they have leveled out a little bit, and that report was from mortgagereport.com. They also have graphs that you can go and check out. I'll have their link down below. But the interest rates have leveled off a little bit. I think that the Federal Reserve said that they were going to be raised a couple of times more this year. However, they will not be below 6%, people are predicting, by the end of this year, 2023. According to a site on Trading Economics, the average 30-year mortgage interest rate in the United States averaged about 7.74%. From 1971 all the way up until 2023, reaching an all-time high of 18.63% in October of 1981 and a record low of 2.65, like I said before, in that January of 2021. In 2020, the average interest rate was 3.72%, 2021, 2.65%, 2022, 3.22%, and 2023, we are back up to a 6.48%. So we are not even at the average of the 30-year mortgage fixed rate interest all the way from 1971 to 2023. However, a lot of first-time home buyers were introduced and started learning about, myself included, interest rates in 2020 and 2021 and thought that that was the normal when actually we were in an anomaly period. And so they're being faced with these high interest rates later as they save money and try to put a down payment on and everything. And they're like, well, I'll never be able to afford a house, when really people are like, oh, I'll just wait for them to keep going back down, but they're not going to be going back down. This is the average through history. We're even below average, like I said before. So it's just changing that first-time buyer's perception of interest rates, as well as due to inflation, we also have to change buyers' perception of what they're going to get at a larger sum for their house, or for the larger sum of that down payment, which I am planning to do another video on changing buyers' perception and just coming to terms with the fact that everything is skyrocketing in price, and we need to understand that nothing is going to be as cheap as it was unless things change economically in this situation. So the second topic in today's video is going to be on high interest rates. A phrase that I'm sure you've all heard as well is these rates are nothing compared to the 70s and 80s, or something to that effect. The rates then were 13 to 18%. This is nothing compared to them. However, the power of spending was a lot different than it is today. In the 1980s, $1 was equivalent to the purchasing power of about $3.70 today, an increase of $2.70 over 43 years. The dollar had an average inflation rate of 3.09% per year between 1980 and today, producing a cumulative price increase of 270.28%. I'm also going to upload a graph here, and we can see where it shows the real value of federal minimum wage compared to the nominal value from 1938 all the way up until 2010s, and you can see a big jump from 2010. Obviously, it doesn't show up until 2020, 2023. However, we have seen in the world around us that the dollar does not go as far as it used to. Inflation's on the rise. And interest rates are following suit. Like I said earlier in the video, 2020 and 2020 to 2022 was an anomaly. They have never been that low in recorded history. The reason for the spike in the 1980s was just an inflationary spiral. Oil prices were rising, government was overspending, and they were raising the wages, which met the high interest rates that banks and lenders were offering to buyers and sellers. So our third topic for the day is about rent. Renting is cheaper than buying. I cannot afford a mortgage payment, monthly at least. And people are slowly but surely finding out that that is not the case in 2023. In North Carolina, the average median rent is $1,895. Month to month, that has risen by $20. However, year to year, it has dropped $12 compared to August of 2022. So I guess that's good. It's leveling out a little bit. I will insert that graph that you can see here, a couple little statistics. And then the next graph I'm going to show you is the U.S. average compared to the Raleigh-Durham, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Charlotte, Concord, and Gastonia. And it shows the percentages the interest rates have grown. At the moment, you can see that all of those areas, Raleigh-Durham, Greensboro, and Charlotte, are well above the U.S. average, just because those are very desirable places to live in the city centers, and they are expanding. So in North Carolina, there is no rent cap. That means that there is no legal limit or cap on the amount of a rent increase that landlords can charge or how often they can charge. That's just in North Carolina. I don't know about other concerning states. I know some states do have rent caps, others still do not. However, there was a bill that was proposed in the Senate to legalize North Carolina rent control, which would effectively limit the amount that rent can increase, as well as how often it can increase for landlords. So another popularized misconception that people like to say about today's market is the market is going to crash again. Well, I actually don't believe that it is, and many of my fellow realtors will also agree with that. The housing market is cooling down from 2020 and 2022, when everybody was literally going insane about the low interest rates, buying multiple offers every day, sellers literally getting hundreds of thousands over their list price just because the buyers didn't have to worry about that interest rate that they would have to pay later on. However, most homeowners are facing, instead of a housing crisis, a market crash crisis, they are facing an affordability crisis. High interest rates and inflated home values have made purchasing a home challenging for first-time home buyers, and that is another topic I'm going to cover in another video that I plan to do. I'm talking about changing the perception of first-time home buyers, what you can get for this, how much money will this get me, and just saying that, you know, a home is what you make it. Sometimes, a lot of times nowadays, you'll have to put in a little bit of work to get the home of your dreams. The last misconception that we're going to cover today is something that buyers often struggle with. Sometimes it's hard for them to find a little bit of research on. And then there's just this conceptualized fear of having X amount of capital to put down on a home. The common thought is you'll need a 20% down payment plus closing costs to buy a home. However, if you do have the spare capital to put 20% down on a home purchase, that's great. However, a lot of people don't have that. There are other programs such as FHA mortgages, where you just need like 3.5% down. And some of the closing costs can be covered as well. And there's also other lenders that offer down payment assistance for that. So a lot of people get scared going into it that they're saying, I don't have $50,000 to cover the closing cost and down payment, and so I can't buy, I'm just going to rent. And when in actuality, they're spending more money renting than they would be spending for a monthly payment. However, that just depends buyer to buyer. Thank you for watching Real Talk About Real Estate with me, Sarah Martin Abad, your local North Carolina licensed realtor. And if you like this content and want more of it, please feel free to follow my Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course this channel where I will be uploading new video and content updates, as well as tips, tricks, and information about the real estate market. Please feel free to join me for my next video, which I have entitled, Could DIYing Leave You Crying? Well, where we will discuss the popularized DIY trends prevalent in 2020 to 2023, when everybody literally had all the time in the world on their hands from the COVID pandemic, as well as how they may be hurting your chances for future offers from buyers if you're looking to sell your home. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Sarah Martin Abad, and it's been real.